What is up, guys? It's your boy Rick Kakis, and today we are going to be showcasing how to get the brand new Microcosm exotic trace rifle just added into Destiny 2 within the Final Shape expansion. And so, let's get started. Now, this isn't your average trace rifle. This is actually the first ever heavy trace rifle in the game, and also the first ever heavy weapon to be kinetic, which is super important with Prismatic because kinetic weapons will give you both light and darkness energy for Transcendence. But how do you get this thing? Well, the first thing you will need to do is beat the campaign. And if you're trying to do it on legendary difficulty, don't worry, I just put out a guide earlier today. Check it out, it's linked up above. But once you do beat that campaign, and then you're going to claim those campaign rewards, you are immediately going to get an exotic quest called Destined Heroes. Now, this is its own thing. It will actually lead to the Ergo Sum exotic sword, and I have done a complete guide on that as well. It is linked right up above if you want to go and get that too. But in the initial steps of this quest, you will need to beat the Queen's Part 1 activity or mission, whatever you want to call it. So you'll have to do that, and then immediately after, you're going to have this quest kind of splinter into multiple different quests that offshoot and give you different rewards. Importantly, as soon as you're done with Queen's Part 1, you're actually going to interact with this like hologram right here called Micah's Conduit, and you're going to pick up the Convalescence Rootbound quest. Now, at this point, again, the Destined Heroes quest is just going to continue, but we are now focused on this Convalescence questline because you have to complete this to unlock the specific exotic quest for the Macrocosm. And of course, it's one of my videos, so we're going over absolutely everything you need to know, and don't worry, I'm going to make sure to timestamp every single quest step in the description down below, so no matter where you are in your progression, you can come back here and find whatever part you're stuck on. So, for this Rootbound first part of this questline, you actually need to go and find a specific lost ghost. So you're going to open up your Pale Heart destination map and you will see the location right here below the landing. So you're going to whip down here on your Sparrow and it's actually going to send you into the Forgotten Deep Lost Sector. Now, you don't actually need to complete this Lost Sector. This is the one that you also have to complete during the campaign where you stand over the glowing green goop on the ground, and then once you get all three of the goops, you can shoot the crystals to progress. But once you get in that final room of the Lost Sector, as you can see right here, guys, there's actually an objective marker that takes you in the relative area of where you need to find the ghost. And specifically, the ghost is going to be on the ledge right here. So once you interact with that, again, you don't have to kill the Lost Sector boss, you can just dip. So head back to the Lost City social space, and as you can see, you're going to go through here and interact with this ghost right here. Once you do, your quest is going to update, and then you interact with Micah's Conduit yet again, and you're going to get a guaranteed red border shotgun. Then you're also going to get access to the next Convalescence quest, which is called Underbrush. This time, you have to acquire 2 blessings by opening chests anywhere in the Pale Heart. So, head down to a social space. I just went to the landing and start looking for chests. Now, if you open your destination map, you have the normal secret chest icons. Then you also can just randomly bump into chests that spawn like this one right here. But then you also have these Pathfinder objective icons, and these are going to send you to certain locations. As you can see, you fight a few enemies or do a certain objective, and then the reward for completing that is also going to be a chest, and you simply need to open up enough chests until you get 2 of these Traveler's Blessings. Now, once you get 2, the next step is to actually equip them. So you're going to open your Pale Heart destination map and you're going to click on this icon right here. That's going to open up a submenu where you can put on one of these blessings. And these are going to be limited time improvements for your character within this destination. Now, importantly, once you actually complete this quest step, your quest is kind of going to bug out a bit, like it says it's complete but doesn't tell you what to do next and doesn't update. Simply fast travel to the social space. As you can see right here, guys, the Lost City, and then it auto-updated for me, and it gave me the next step, thankfully. So you head over and interact with yet another ghost within this area, and then you go back to Micah's Conduit. You're going to be given a red border machine gun, very cool, and then you're going to be given the next quest within this quest line. This time it's Greenery. So now you have to open overflow chests specifically in the landing to complete this step. And that's actually really important. When I open my destination map, you can see I actually have overthrow icons all over the place, even a matchmaking one, but none of them were actually in the landing, so I don't think it would give you progress. Instead, simply load into the landing area of the Pale Heart, and even though you might not see any in progress like in your destination map, the overthrow activity is here. So all you need to do is look for these crazy glowing like hive turrets floating in the air, and then below them are going to be where you can do these overthrow objectives. So you'll often also see a like public event symbol, and then you're gonna have to like shoot hive crystals, which is going to cause enemies to spawn, which is gonna let you kill a bunch more enemies and shoot more crystals to unlock guys to kill, etc, etc. So while you're doing these objectives and getting kills, you're also going to be getting progress that you can see in the top left corner of your screen. Once it fully fills out, you will actually get a reward chest, which will give you progress for this quest. Now, once you complete a certain objective, then that like glowing hive object in the sky will stop glowing, and you'll have to look around this public event space for another one. Go there, and as you can see, complete yet another objective, which is going to give you more progress. And when you fill out that additional progress, you're going to get more chests. And again, the objectives are going to depend on the area. Often you're just killing enemies. There's one here where I'm luring immune shield guys into this zone so I can trap them there and kill them while also killing enemies. So it's really just going to depend on which place you actually go. But regardless, once you have done this for long enough and opened up enough of these chests, then your quest is going to update. Now you're going to have to go and find the sword dance cyst and then express the cyst. Ew. But anyways, you're going to have to head towards this objective marker right here. So whip out your sparrow, head all the way to that objective marker, and then eventually you're going to find one of the light like birds. When you actually approach this bird, it's going to fly away in the direction of where you need to head. So this next part is just doing that over and over again. Find the bird, look at the direction it flies, and head in that direction to find the next bird, and then the next bird, and then the next bird. And I'm just going to show you this step in its entirety within the background gameplay, a little bit sped up, so you know exactly where to go. Eventually, however, it will lead you to the very top of this cave where you have a blistered knight inside. Once you head in here, guys, you're gonna have to fight a few hive, and then very importantly, you actually need to get through this blocked doorway by shooting the correct hive ruins. And it's as simple as looking at the ruins on the door and then shooting the correct ones in the correct order I did top down. After that barrier is dissipated, you're going to head in here, and then importantly, you're going to need to go to the back of this area and grab a hive sword. This is going to be key for the rest of this quest. So once you have it, you can go and defeat the hive enemies with the immunity shields and also the hive crystals with those same immunity shields. Eventually, you're going to head to the back here, and then you actually need to use the sword to break your way through this kind of rock or whatever it actually is, hive fungus for all I know, to progress forward in this area. So look for these breakable rocks, and each one is kind of going to lead to another sword station. In case you like drop your sword, you have a lot of different sword spawn points. You can pick up another one, guys. But again, it's the same thing of progressing forward, then finding the hive crystals that are shielded and the hive enemies that are shielded to take down. Now, eventually, as you keep moving forward through all of these arenas, you keep killing enemies with your sword, and otherwise you keep breaking through like the hive rocks. Eventually, you are going to drop down into this area right here, and you're going to have the 3 different kinds of Lucian hive just ready to fight you. So they're kind of going to jump inside of this arena at first, then you can fight them. Mine kind of fell out. I think he glitched out a little bit. It eventually did let me outside of this arena to again fight them. All of them have those immunity shields that you will need to break with your hive sword. So once you've taken care of all 3 of these Lucian hive, remember to finish them. I haven't done it in a couple years, but still you got to get those finishers on the ghosts or they will revive. Then your quest is going to update once you heal the wounded ghost right here, and you are told to go back to the Lost City and yet again head to that same place you've been going and interact with this ghost. And then you're going to be able to go back to Micah's conduit. As you can see, get a guaranteed red butter sniper, and then you can pick up the actual exotic quest for the Microcosm. So this quest is going to have 3 different steps. You need to complete the campaign missions on Cooperative Focus Mode, which is a new thing just added in the final shape. So you have Ascent, Dissent, and Iconoclasm. So if you open up your Paleheart destination map, you can see all 3 of these missions present right here, like underneath the campaign icons, because all 3 of these are actually campaign missions. They're going to be certainly more difficult than the normal difficulty campaign. They're roughly on the same level as the legendary campaign in terms of how hard it is to kill ads and how much damage you're taking, I would say. But the important difference is that activity power matters, and the activity power cap is 2005, which is definitely pretty hard to reach in the first few days of the final shape. However, I did all 3 of these at 1970, so it's definitely possible to do it while severely under light, but you could just wait and level up before attempting these. Additionally, they're actually going to have different modifiers and different mechanics that were not present within the normal or legendary campaign missions. Now, I do have some big loadout recommendations, and if they helped my team of just 2 people beat all 3 of these while severely under light, they will absolutely help you. So, in terms of what I was using, I have to give some credit here to the Supremacy Sniper. Having a sniper, you're going to be facing Tormentors a lot and a lot of bosses. It was great. Then the Red Death. It's the current season's pass weapon, and it's going to provide a ton of healing for yourself and your teammate. It is fantastic. And lastly, I was using an Edge Transit for some DPS. Now, my teammate was using a Godroll Blast Furnace, especially with kinetic tremors. If you are under light, that's going to trigger a lot. Fantastic weapon, and so is the Indebted Kindness. Any rocket sidearm is going to be fantastic here. And then lastly, huge tip, the Dragon's Breath. All right, there's going to be a lot of bosses, there's going to be a lot of tormentors, a lot of stuff you have to kill. The Dragon's Breath is going to let you stick those guys and then run away, get behind cover, and let those guys just take 50 ignitions, and you're going to come back. They're either going to be dead or severely wounded. This was an MVP in letting us do this. So let's get started with Ascent. Additionally, only one of the 3 will give you like pinnacle rewards, so make sure to do that one first so you get a little bit of a level boost for the other 2. Now, you're going to begin this mission as you normally do, going through this cave system and killing enemies. I'm not going to re-explain the entire missions because they are just campaign missions, but I will focus on the new stuff. And one of those new things you're going to encounter pretty soon on, and that is going to be a different enemy type than what was present within either normal or legendary campaign. If you played Scourge of the Past, you remember this guy. So as you can see right here, the actual objective is blocked by this like darkness shield. So we have this berserker enemy type that we need to kill in order to progress. So this guy will shoot out like an arc kind of shield around him, and while he's doing that, you need to run in, and one person needs to shoot him in the back and the other person needs to shoot him in the chest. Now once you do that, he's going to be actually available to damage, so take this guy down, and then once you do, you're actually going to see these objects that you can shoot. However, you actually need to synergize with them, and it says synergy switches active when you do kill this guy and these become available. So that means you and your teammate need to find the beginning and the ending of these objects and shoot them at the same time. If you don't, as you can see, another one of those berserkers is going to spawn. So my teammate goes to one, I go to the other, 3, 2, 1, shoot it, and then once you do that correctly, you can progress the objective. Moving on from there, when you do get outside here, we have another new mechanic. One of you guys will be fractured by the witness, and you can see it's happening to me on screen right now. So you will actually see fractures form on your gun, on your screen as this grows. If it gets to times 10, you will die. So what do you do about it? Well, your teammate is going to need to take this away from you. As you can see, my teammate runs up to me, takes my fracture, and then he is fractured by the witness. Now, this is what you have to do, juggle this back and forth. However, you can see on my screen, once it's taken from me, I actually have fracture recovery, which means I can't just juggle it back right away. I have to wait until fracture recovery is done. I don't have it anymore to take it back. And it turns out with 2 people, basically when he has times 9, I can actually take it back. So you have to juggle it, but you really have to get the timing right with putting it back and forth at times 9. Now, moving on from there, you're going to progress as you normally would, just while juggling this debuff, until eventually you reach this section right here. This is another very important change. So, normally, when you shoot this darkness object in this room, everyone gets the glyph touched buff, so you can see the actual glyphs that are dropping from these particular enemies, the resonant warders back in these rooms here. However, now only one of us will get glyph touched. So one person can actually see the symbols that are dropped and needs to communicate those symbols to the other person. Now, on top of that, guys, also in this room, you're going to have the objective blocked again by a darkness shield. So you need to kill a berserker and then synchronize those 2 objects in order to dissipate the shield so you can pick up the volatile darkness light and throw it at these side rooms. Now, aside from that, everything else is going to be identical to the campaign versions. It's just going to be a lot of killing enemies and getting clapped by some suspending blasts. But after that, guys, we have the next mission, which is Dissent. Now, in this mission, pretty much immediately, you are going to have someone affected by that fractured by the witness debuff. So you're going to have to be juggling it pretty soon, and you will have to juggle it for almost the entirety of this mission. Now, moving on from there, as you progress forward, you will yet again encounter objectives blocked by those darkness shields, and you will have to deal with those berserkers yet again. And the same thing happens as before, where you have to not only kill the berserker, you have to find those objects that you can shoot, and then kind of find where they go. Importantly, if you can see them, and especially in the background gameplay, like you can see some examples right here, there's like a small faint degree of darkness light going off of them in the direction of the other one. So that usually tells you a big hint of where you can find both of these objects. Additionally, again, if you're looking for symbols, only one person can see them and has to communicate. But at the final boss fight, we actually have another wrinkle thrown in. So you're going to progress through this boss fight kind of as you normally would. However, normally you need to grab this shield relic and then use the super on the boss to get rid of an immunity shield. However, only one person can actually grab it. So you can see you get the buff granted Aegis. So that's actually going to let you pick this up. If you don't have it, you can't pick it up. So yeah, it's just a little bit more complicated. But then also, when you kill this boss, remember, you need to run out of this mission. You need to escape. So you're going to need to be juggling the fractured as you're doing that while the stairs are falling down at your feet. So make sure you are juggling at the right moment, because when you get up to around time 6 or time 7, you're not going to be able to run anymore or even jump. So yeah, make sure you have your switches going off at the right time. But aside from that, it's going to be the same as the campaign mission. So let's move on from there to the final mission, Iconoclasm. And this is going to be the final campaign mission. So yes, you will need to defeat the final campaign boss, like the Witness, with all this extra difficulty thrown in. However, thankfully for this final mission, you do not have the Fractured by the Witness debuff. So thank goodness. You will still have berserkers that are going to cover up certain objectives that you're going to have to kill and then sync up those shootable objects. And importantly, the main thing that's going to change here is when you get to this section right here, guys, again, you are going to have to split up who has the glyph site, right? But also only one person can drop down into this lower room and then kill the big bad knights here to reveal the symbols. So again, you're going to have to split your team up instead of both going together like you can do in the normal campaign. So one person heads down here, absolutely melts the knights, and then calls up the symbols to the other person. The person up top can walk over the correct symbols and then allow the person at the bottom to use a teleporter and get back up, and then you can be together as a team again. Now, that same thing is going to happen with this big ogre boss fight. Only one person is going to get glyph touched, and only one person can actually get this like hidden from darkness buff that you get for shooting these darkness nodes and go through the portal to accomplish the other objective, right? So you're going to have to split your team up yet again, shout out the correct symbols to the person on the other side of this, and they're going to have to walk over the correct ones to let the other person teleport back, and eventually you can take down this boss. Now, as for the Witness here, guys, this is actually going to be pretty similar to the normal version. The Dragon's Breath was, of course, chef's kiss in just being able to inflict a ton of damage while you can remain in like complete safety. Just don't get too close or you'll end up blowing yourself up. But the first time you get to that immunity shield and you need to go get the relic, there is one of these berserkers in the way. But as you can see, you might even be able to ignore this guy. Like, we killed him, and then there was nothing to shoot. I just picked up the shield. So that was a bit weird. You block, but then as you progress this encounter forward and you get that second guy down to the immunity shield, the second time you actually need to get that shield relic, as you can see, it is actually blocked off by that darkness shield. So this time you have to kill the berserker and then find the other one of these switches, which is kind of over on like the left side of the very middle statue. And then you're going to shoot those at the same time to actually let you grab the second of these relics here. After that, everything is pretty much the same here, guys, just slightly more difficult enemies. And then eventually you will get this mission done. At the very end, you do have a cutscene. You can skip it, and then you get this really awkward thing right here. I guess we didn't get any loot for it. But regardless, you're going to be able to load back to the Lost City, go back all the way to the Micah's Conduit, interact here, and then it outright gives you the Microcosm. Guys, that is going to be it for the video. Hope you enjoyed and found this informative. If you did, please remember to help me out by simply rating and especially sharing this video. If you guys want to see more Destiny 2 content similar to this, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. If you want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at RickKakis. That is linked in the description down below. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.